copy of the minutes from last month's meeting. Any additions or corrections? Then I will make a motion to accept the meeting minutes as given. Jeez. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Everyone should have received the treasurer's report. Any questions on the treasurer's report? Then I will make a motion to accept the treasurer's report. Do I have a second?
Second that.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. I'm going to do this meeting all by myself. Reading of the bills. We did have 3 commissioners review the bills prior to the meeting, so any questions?
I have one. Truck 3 going.
Yes, sir.
The repairs that were done, what year was that truck put in service?
Truck 3, as far as with brand new,
Delivery date, yes.
the delivery date, I don't know.
Was December 3rd.
No. The actual delivery date, engine-wise. The only reason I ask that is usually there's a 5-year engine warranty. And to me, some of those sensors, I get the charge air cooler and stuff like that, but some of those sensors should be a covered component. That's why I asked.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
That's why I was asked what year.
Oh, I didn't really, I thought, okay, no, it's a 2009.
Okay, then you answered my question. Thank you.
Okay, I misunderstood what you were saying, I apologize.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one. Remove and install radio on engine 5.
Correct.
That's Myers Corner's truck?
Cody truck.
I guess my question is, why would we do that before we make a motion to buy it? That's $628, and now you're gonna have to pay to have it taken out. We couldn't get by with just using portables?
Well, what had happened was, when we took delivery, I instructed Chief Perkins to do that. Becky and I were both at the meeting, and that would, if we decide to get rid of the truck, let me rephrase it, if we decide that it's not going to fit our needs, that was the cost of getting it done properly. Because with key and portables, it sends a different signal to fire control, and all of a sudden it's accountability and safety issue. Wasn't willing to take that risk. That's what happened and why it happened.
The other thing at Village Hardware, is there any way when you charge stuff, you could rate what it's for? Because when you look at the bill, you see $168, was it stuff for the washer and dryer that she can charge off on a different account, or was it what it was? I noticed that today when I was signing. I don't know why.
No. So I will make a motion to pay vouchers 1 through 28 for a total of $71,102.09. Second.
Second.
Roll call. Tony?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Casey?
Yes.
Communications, we have 2 today. One is a notice from Ford that there is an emissions recall on the 3 Chiefs vehicles that we purchased in 2018. So I'm going to be the nice person that I am and pass this over to Tony, who's going to work with the Chiefs and getting it taken care of. Secondly, the Association of Fire Districts is having a 2019 Leadership Summit and Vendor Expo in Niagara Falls. Sometime.
October.
Fine. Well, information is here, except for the date as far as I can see. If anybody is reservation cutoff is September 2nd though, so that would be nice. So if anybody's interested, take that.
Starts October 3rd. October 2nd, I mean, sorry. Those 3 days, 4 days.
That is all I have for communication. Administration, I don't have anything for administration this month. Financial, we've got budget meetings set starting next Tuesday, July 16th, the 30th, August 6th, August 20th, September 3rd, and September 17th at 6:30 here. They are open to the public, if anyone wants to attend. It's a lot of fun. I just never knew that. Anything else you'd like to share about?
I don't think so. I've got the contract for the Jaws of Life. There's some information that has to go to Bill Young. We have to have something in a letterhead from him, and it's attorney will do those.
For the grant?
Yeah, for the grant, to get the financials, so.
Tony,
Holy cow, yeah. So, I have an RTP 1483 for a pump test on that Cody engine to make sure that the pump was tight and taken properly. It passed with flying colors, but RTP 1483 is your own fire. In the vicinity of $300, Jack. They didn't give me an exact amount, but that's the vicinity of it. RTP 1482 to Nobles. Squad 3 needs rear brakes. Has an engine light on. It has to do with a sensor and a filter and a New York State inspection. $1,000.
What's the number?
RTP 1482, sir. And then RTP 1484, it's going to go to Penn Detroit. They're going to do the look-see over for the Cody engine. There's a few small issues that need to be looked at. Some stuff leaking, as you can imagine. So it's going there for basically a visual, okay? And according to them, it's going to take about 3 hours to really go through it with a fine-tooth comb at $100 an hour. It's worth the deal. I spoke with Commissioner Edwards from Cody, and I explained that what we were doing, and that really hinges on what we do with the truck. With any necessary repairs, we'll be going back to them and talking. But that's why I decided to do that. So that's happening on Thursday for the Cody engine this week. But 1480 or 1484, about $300 to $400.
Did it go to the frame shop?
As a matter of fact, they did a New York State inspection, and it doesn't need to. It's bone dry, whistle clean. Yep. So, with that being said, that is the current action items I got going on brewing with our current fleet. So, I think now is the time to discuss the vehicles and where we're at, what we found, and where do we go. I think it's time. Is that okay to discuss that now? So, just to recap, so we're all on the same page. Since we've been a district, there's been an activity with the fire equipment. In Lysander portion of the fire district, we have sent away, sold the MAC and the International. That's been gone. That's a fire engine tanker. Been replaced with the current towing out on the floor. That's happened. So sent two, we purchased one. Okay, so that's happened. And on the Beagle side of the fire district, we have parked and taken out of service our heavy rescue, Rescue 6. Engine 8 is currently out of service and parked and not being repaired. Engine 5 is out of service, parked, not sure what we're doing. We've purchased for the Ballsville, when I say Ballsville side, the Ballsville portion of the district, they purchased a new engine 7, and we purchased a used 100-foot truck, okay? So what we're in the middle of today, right now, is we have for sale the heavy rescue 6. We have for sale by contract ladder 2 and ladder 3. So I wanted to make sure that we were on the same page. That's not including the little stuff. This is the big stuff, okay? So the reason why we're here was last month we were hit with some major repairs with engine 8 and engine 5. We borrowed engines from the Cody Fire District, the neighbor right over there, and Moyers Corners Fire Department up the road past Belgium. Both are loaner trucks. That's what we've done to compensate temporarily. Okay, so far so good, we're all on the same page. The question is, and where we have to go, is what do we do for at least a solution, and I don't want to say a permanent solution, because no matter what we do, there's more to do. We ordered a brand new engine 2 months ago, which there's great news about that. 2 months ago, that was designed to replace Rescue 6 and 1 engine. That was the original plan. But this whole deal with everything that's going on, things changed a little bit. But anyways, so right now, the Cody engine and the Moyers Corners engine are filling in for engine 8, who we are definitely not fixing. It's a 1989. There's no more fixing. The engine 5 is in question. Can we fix engine 5? That's the ultimate question. So we know prior to this meeting that the frame repair, I can't remember the number. Does anybody have that down? It was like 5,000 for the engine 5 repair, 4,700. In the 5,000 area. So right there is $5,000. That's to repair the frames to make them pass New York State inspection. Moving forward, what I did was with our vendor, I came up and I said I had the truck brought back in and asked them to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. Okay. In the list that I just provided, all of the commissioners and the district chief spells out what is very visible, but it doesn't cover what's not visible. Some of these items, and I think there's 1, 2, 3. 30 items on here. Some of them are very minuscule, but other of them are very major. As an example, some of the major items: transmission seeping oil, PTO seeping oil, spring shackles, cross members all rusty. That is very much relevant to what we've been dealing with. The engine itself is leaking oil. Body hold-down bolts are all springs are rusty. Air brake controls are corroded. A big one is the pump module. In fire trucks, there's a pump module that the pump sits in and it goes inside the fire truck. Well, all of the framing is all rotted and corroded in the pump module. So in order to replace that module, the whole pump's got to be physically craned out of the truck, pulled out, new, and put back in. So the reality is, the question is, where do we throw good money at something we're not so sure? It's an interesting conversation. So, rough numbers, without the frame rail assembly, is about $30,000.
That's engine 5?
That's engine 5. That's rough numbers without the frame rail replacement. So again, 30,000 there. That's the interesting or the hard part about this is that's what Jerome's, who is our preferred vendor, our contracted vendor, gave us a rough number. They're not going to touch the engine. they're not gonna touch the transmission, they're not gonna touch. We would send that over to Penn Detroit, and when you start pulling things apart, heads off of engines and seals, you won't know, and I can't get you a number, on that. Casey, can you help me out with that?
Actually, their engine would be going to Cummins.
Okay.
That's Cummins, but the Allison transmission would have to go to 10. Do a head gasket, you're probably close to $13,000 easily, if it's not further than that. And probably more than that, because most of the time labor goes up for fire apparatus vehicles. Because I know my shop, it is definitely higher than normal trucks.
So
Because they're harder to get to.
I was okay with spending a couple $100s, but I'm not okay with spending thousands to break it down to see what else it needs. So that's where we're at with engine 5.
And that's a 1989?
No, engine 5, Jack, is a 2000 and, 2002, Jack.
Oh, I have the sheet right
Okay, so that's engine 5. I was asked to find that out. Roughly, I think we're looking at 40 grand all said and done. Maybe. Okay? So, engine 8, as I mentioned, was off. Yeah, 8 is off the table. We shouldn't spend any more money on engine 8. That's a 1989. So that's the reasons why those 2 trucks are parked. However, if you want to spend 40 or 50 grand, that's an option. I don't know if it's good. So, looking at, I can speak on the Cody truck. I can speak on the Moores Corners truck. Okay. The fire commissioners met with the chiefs, and we said, listen, we need from the chiefs, what is it going to take, and what do you need to keep our district and taxpayers safe? And they told us, and they agreed, they need 2 engines, meaning 2 vehicles to put fires out. So once they gave us that direction, that's when we moved forward to see what we could find. Again, the Cody truck is an older truck, 1994. They want approximately $12,500 for it, but the thing is cleaner than even our stuff that's 2003s, 4s, and 5s. Quite simply, they don't run them. They don't put the miles on them. They don't do the call volumes that we do. So as a person, to me, that was a viable solution replacement for engine 8. The reason why I say engine 8 was this Cody truck being older, it was kind of set up as a rural water fighting machine. Is that fair, Chief? Mm-hmm. That's the way it's set up. Engine 8 is our one that we take to the rural, that's got, big, dumps and all that stuff. So that was similar. The other pro that I felt with that Cody truck was that parts are available. The back half of the truck, I can't even remember the manufacturer, that doesn't exist anymore. But all of the components are all, in business. The Hales, the Wattresses, the Allisons, the Detroit Diesels, we can still get parts for these things. So for that money, and help me to move forward, we needed a fix. We had a plan that we were going to buy another new truck in approximately 3 to 4 years. Is that accurate, Chief?
2024.
Okay.
Target date.
Okay, the target date was 2024 to buy a brand new one. This truck for that will bridge that gap. So we spend that money, approximately $12,500 to buy it. I actually think we're going to get it less because there's some things that need to be done, but more importantly, it bridges that gap to the 2024. The fires still go out, and obviously as long as this comes back from Penn Detroit, that it's the right thing to do. That's an option.
You're saying that 1994 truck is going to go 4 to 5 years?
I would say 4 years if we do it right.
I better
Yeah.
go a little under.
But what,
We don't want to drive one.
this is where that whole communication gets into the mix of things, because there is there's gotta be hard conversations about vehicle placement and what goes where. As an example, you know, Ballsville Engine 7, and I'm not the fire chief, but Ballsville Engine 7 is at Station 1. Does it make sense that it's at Station 1 and not at Station 35? Or Station 35? Whatever. I mean, I don't think we're gonna wanna run that truck first due to every single thing. I'm not the fire chief, but that's where there's hard, uncomfortable things that need to be said. Vehicle placement, where we're within our fire district. Does it make sense to leave truck 3 at Station 1, or it should be at Station 3 or Lysander Station 2? Lysander Station 2's truck, should it be here or somewhere else? That's the uncomfortable thing about all of this. But that's the deal with the Cody truck, okay? That's an option. Some guys are not happy with my idea. The Moyers Corners truck that we borrowed. Are you sure that this is the right year, Chief?
That's what I thought.
I thought it was newer than that, Chief.
But it's going to go for sale, so it's going to be
All right.
around that 20-year mark.
Okay. All right, well, Moyers Corners engine is in Station 2 right now. That has a 1,000-gallon tank, 1,500 GPM pump, 43,000 miles. It's basically a true engine. In the fire service world, it doesn't have a generator, it doesn't have, you know, all of the, typically that's not how we design trucks in Baldwinsville and even in the district. But with that being said, the truck is priced at $50,000. Okay, it's $50,000. The truck's been PM'd, it's been ran. It's the reason why they're selling it is they just bought 3 brand new engines at a tune of $1.5 million. They're just cycling them in and out. They've done the work. There was a couple $1,000s worth of work done just before we borrowed it. That's an option. That gives there's an option, you know, that gives the chief his 2 trucks. So we also asked Chief Perkins and the commissioner to see what other options are available. Jack found a couple. Chief Perkins found a couple. So there is a truck out of DeWitt. Okay, it's a Salisbury 1997 E1. Still get parts for it all day long. 2,000 GPM pump, 600-gallon tank, 51,000 miles. It's what they call, it has a 50-foot elevated master stream, or I'm sorry, elevated stream. Basically, it gives you the capability of an elevated master stream. There's an option. Price range between $25,000 and $30,000. DeWitt's notorious for taking care of their equipment. The reason why they're selling it is they're updating. That's what you do. Unfortunately, our history here is we kept our trucks too long. Bless you. Then Command Fire had a couple. Jack was eyeballing one, approximately $100,000. Again, a 20-year-old truck. And then there was the second one. Jack, this says, as of Saturday morning sold. Is this the second one you brought up, or the first one?
No, the first one is sold.
Okay, for Jack, but there's also a second one on there in the vicinity of $100,000. 20-year-old truck.
165.
What's that?
It's a 2002 Pierce, it's 165.
165, okay. Okay, thank you. All right, and then there's another one that we found in Auburn, 1997 Pierce 2000 GPM pump, 500-gallon, fair condition, 85,000 miles, 50-foot elevated platform, 25,000. I have my reservations about that one, honestly, because I know the truck. But there is multiple options. But another thing that I wanted to share with everybody that's not popular. When we bought the 100-foot truck, the 100-foot bucket, we bought that on the premise that we were selling both 75-foot quints. Okay? And they are for sale now. So, but that was not before, or I'm sorry, that was before we had the issues that we're having with our two engines. All right, we had these, this is a new problem. So I thought and have presented to the district, listen, by buying 2 additional pieces, used pieces, there's calculated risk. And we all agree to that. What if we kept one of the ladders that we already know the calculated risk and buy the Cody truck? We're losing 500 gallons within the 2 pieces. However, if we move trucks around, that might help. Originally, again, we agreed to sell both those ladders, but it was under a different circumstances. Now, this is an important piece of the puzzle. We have those 2 ladders for sale on Brindley Mountain. Honestly, there's not a lot of activity on those websites, but let me tell you, the amount of activity on the simple, Baldwin Fire Department Facebook post is incredible. There's multiple people interested in ladder 3. It was listed on Brindley Mountain for $175, more money than we were planning on, but there's a lot of activity. There's 2 departments. One wants to look at it, and like now.
Just to interject, we had people looking at them last night.
Yep.
Another local company, they love ladder 3, but they're measuring it won't fit their station. So they went over to local ladder 2. They think that might fit, but they were going to do some more measuring and get back to this.
It does make sense, but I was thinking if we did end up selling the ladder 3 for $175, give or take, maybe we're thinking this a little bit wrong. Sell it, get that money, put that money back into the truck fund, the truck fund like we talked about, and then just run ladder 2. That's the end of my report. Now we can openly hammer it out.
I'll take the financial of it.
All right.
The thing of it is, we transferred money from the building fund as part of buying truck 3 with the anticipation that when we sold those trucks, that money would go back into the building fund, because when this new station is built, there's money up front that we, as a district, are going to have, and it's not in there right now because we took it out of there. So it's got to go back in there. And what I keep looking at these used trucks, and don't get me wrong, I guess they're good buys, but I don't want to end up in 2 years right back in the same boat we are. In 2 years, you've got 2 old trucks, now you got to replace 2 old trucks again. That, to me, I'd rather spend a little more money and get one with more guarantees. I don't know what you can get out of the ladders, but if you sell the ladders, you get enough out, and you can put whatever we transferred out of the building fund back, so that's stable again. And then if there's $50,000 left over, put that in the truck fund. I don't have a problem with that, but right now, the way it's set up, financially, by 2022, we would have enough money to buy another truck in 2022. That if we stick with the budget that we have right now, and we continue doing the same thing. So do you take a chance on a real old truck? I understand the Cody truck, but I was thinking if it could get us by 1 to 2 years until the new engine came in, and then if we had to keep it for a while, we could, and then try to buy something with a little more money. Becky and I had the conversation, we told you we got $150,000. If you could get some more money out of them trucks, you could get that money to be used for a second truck and buy something a little nicer, something 2010 or something that's going to get you by 10 years. I just don't like the idea of buying trucks, that there's a possibility of both those trucks going bad within the same time frame again.
I definitely don't disagree with you on the calculated risk. I mean, I think the Cody truck's a home run. Everything else I'm not convinced of. My question to you, or a general statement that we need to talk about is, all right, as an example, just so I can wrap my head around this, we were bouncing the idea around of spending $100,000 on a 20-year-old truck. At what point is the dollar value? I mean, I don't want to spend $100,000 on a 20-year-old truck. I'd spend $100,000 on a 10-year-old truck. I mean, do they exist? And another negative thing about all of this that we didn't even take consideration, Auburn, Orange Corners, DeWitt, all run on the same roads as we do, basically. Same material, same environment. So we are running a calculated risk. That's why I, was originally thinking ladder 3, but hell, sell ladder 3, get our 150. Ladder 2, we just run it. Run it, and don't spend any more money.
You still have the parts issues though, when you do need something like that.
That is the case, Chief, you're right.
That's my issue with that one. Listening to it, talking
No, you're right.
outside of, I guess our family stuff.
Yeah.
Sitting here thinking about it, I would agree with just staying with the original game plan and selling those 2 pieces direct. Okay, just get rid of them, stick with that game plan. Cody engine, I'm 100% with. I went and looked at the DeWitt truck with Chief Perkins last week. It was in great shape. I went underneath it and looked at the frame and everything. My concern was the volume of water. And I know you had meetings and stuff like that. But, whatever that Pierce that we were looking at command fire was $100 and something thousand, Jack?
Jack is a
Okay, you're seeing, that it's you're looking at 3 years difference for that 9-7 for the Corners truck. And it's half the price for 3 more years. And I know Warner's Corners, they do a lot of undertreatment to their vehicles. They do it to every one of their vehicles that they get.
We will be hurt.
And it's something that we have to look at in the future. If that thing checked out, wasn't that going to the frame shop?
Yeah, it did check out. Orange Corners engine went to Fulton Spring, and they did do some. Orange Corners had the cross members replaced. They had a bunch of stuff replaced. According to Pete and Chief Perkins, approximately $2,000 will bring it right up to where it needs to be and put it in.
I'm looking at this. I mean, we have 150,000 to play with to buy a couple of used trucks. You can get 2 of them right there for just about 72,500. And I'm sure that you can probably talk it down to both, especially if we're going to be doing some work to the coating.
But I want to make Jack's point. I think Jack's not wrong, and does it make sense to spend a little more to get a little more? The problem we've got is we don't have a lot of time.
You're gaining 3 years. What's 3 years?
No, I get that.
Is it worth $50,000 for 3 years?
No.
I get it if it was because it was running in Pennsylvania. I get it, but.
Well, I guess, I come from used cars. I mean, the cars, that's where I started when I got out of high school, so I know used. You can have, when you're buying used, if you just look at the date and say, oh, that's 10 years old, I'm gonna buy that one that's only 5 years old, and I'm getting a 5-year-old newer truck. But the person that had that one, it isn't in as good a shape. The only reason I said this one is because it was spotless. There was no rust on it. There was no frame damage. It had all the pump tests. It had everything, and they were going to put the lettering on it. So I looked at the whole package. I didn't look at it because it was a 2000. I looked at it as a package, You didn't have to worry about the lettering, you didn't have to worry about most of the tool mounting. It had the generator, it had the booster line, it had everything that was needed for what we needed. That's why that's why I thought about that one. But it doesn't matter, it's gone now.
Right.
They walked in
I think it
Wednesday,
was,
they walked in Wednesday and looked at it and signed a contract right there in front of the truck. So it must have been in excellent shape. The other truck, the 2002, I agree with you that I don't know what kind of shape it's in. I got some pictures of it, but I don't know what it has or miles or anything like that. That does get up there, you know. But if we sell the ladder trucks and we end up with enough money, we found 150, but we gotta take 12,000 off that though first, right? That 150 is for both trucks. So we gotta take the $12,000 off, so that leaves you 138,000. So if you could get enough out of the trucks, the 2 ladder trucks, along with the Rescue 6, you maybe get a couple thousand for that. You might have $200,000, and then really go hard on trying to find a newer truck for $200,000, something in the 2010 range.
Chief, I guess we need to hear from you. We've laid out, you found some
If they
trucks.
sell it for more than the building fund, that's what I meant.
What's your thoughts? I know you can work with anything, you've told us that, but we need you.
It wasn't that.
Well, I think the Cody truck is a no-brainer. I think comparing Moore's Corners truck to the DeWitt truck, the DeWitt truck is what they have it's a tool, basically. I'm looking at that truck as a tool for future.
Yeah, we're going to report on
You
it.
know, a truck like that probably on the market would cost you $600,000. There's a chance to buy that for 25 to see if we like it. At the end of 3 years, we're going to know. Is it working for us, or was it's still a pumper, no matter what, but give us a chance to try out, as I say, a new tool in our toolbox. And so I would favor that one and Cody truck. The Auburn truck, although it's beat, I just absolutely love it. I couldn't say enough about it, but that truck would, as soon as if we bought that and these guys would just turn in their gear. It's been beat. There's a lot of surface rust in that truck. It's, you know, they don't normally do body work on them. They just do engine. And mechanically, it's good shape. Underneath, we look underneath the truck, and because it's a Pierce, they use a different frame rail. They're used to it here, and it doesn't rust. The frame doesn't. So they look at the frame separation on those type of trucks. They look at what we normally purchase.
I spoke with both Cody and Moore's Corners this evening. Cody, I told him we would give them an answer on what, either give the truck back or do something different in the second week in August. Moore's Corners, it should be the same as well. We signed that letter, they produced, but they're not worried about that. Do what we gotta do, but I think it should be the same. We should have either send it back or move your trucks or whatever you gotta do, but I don't, we don't wanna take advantage. We just shouldn't do that.
We had it for 70 days, right?
Yeah, whatever, I can't remember, Jack. They're in no hurry. I don't know where we're at with time now.
They're gonna start charging us
70-day
the-
mark, 71 days, we start charging us for using it. So we need to really make a decision.
When is that 70 day, do you remember? Okay, we're okay.
So, here's the scale, what happens.
Yep, we're at the same time frame. So, what happens now? Where are we at with this, the board? We gotta make a decision, or,
I think that right now, we're all in favor of the Cody truck.
Okay.
That, I guess, is a no-brainer. It's just the rest of it that is kind of up in the air. I'd like a report, could you run a report on the building fund, so we know exactly what it is that has to go back, please?
So
We transfer it?
is it sensible to say we will act on this at the next?
During the workshop.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Because I'll have the full report on the coding deal, and based off of that report, can I have permission to work some negotiations with the Cody Fire District about offers and where it makes sense? Can I have permission to do that?
And just remember, you gotta figure in lettering too.
Yes, sir. Yep.
So one thing I do want, we're still on the subject really quickly. When we did the resolution for ladder 2 and 3, it was with the assumption that we were going to sell it for between $50,000 and $100,000. If we sell it for more than $100,000, the resolution that we did is no longer good. We have to do a permissive referendum, which has to then go 30 days. So be aware of that, so if we really start getting interest, we need to get that started. If we think they're, if they come back and say, yeah, we'll offer you 154, or let me know what we're getting or what people are talking about, because I gotta get Billy on to write the
Becky,
permissive referendum.
I was wrong. We're way over 100,000.
Okay,
Change the referendum,
all right.
or whatever you call it.
I thought you had to go to full referendum.
So,
No, first of all. Oh, 31.
It was in the email.
Anyway, you have to redo it, that's for sure.
Good problem, but
Anything else on truck maintenance or truck topic?
Only that DeWitt and Auburn are both holding those trucks. This meeting, they haven't advertised them for a week. They want to start real quick, because they're not going to minimize that DeWitt truck being pulled.
I would, if I had to vote tonight, I wouldn't be supporting the Auburn truck.
No, I wouldn't either. But these are the two that you.
Anybody else? All right, staff building grounds.
Parking dryer is here in the building. Company came in and set everything up. We did not hook it up. And this information did not do that. It's in the process. The dryer came in at the wrong voltage. Not a big deal after talking to the salesman. They just have to come in and change the wire out. That's something that can do that. They have to, you could probably do it against the wall. Hopefully by, washer should be done this week. The dryer has got to be, you got to drill a hole through all the information. We're going to have a plumber do that. It's a 6-inch hole. Sprinkler for stage 2, I did not go the option. You don't know where it goes. Might have two more.
Have we got any quotes on the front of the building yet?
I don't know the place that might have that.
The insurance company is bugging me.
Guys, before you want me to get quotes?
insurance company said they'll replace all the metal as long as we get a seam. We can't buy red to match it. They said they'll replace all the whole front of the building, part of the insurance claim.
And get the bolts and get it going.
RTPs from the workshop. We had RTP 1088 for 6 remote door openers for Beagle Station 1 for $210. RTP 1526, new door and frame for new laundry room, Beagle Station 2, $1,800. RTP 1527, 3 DEF for engine 1 and engine 7, $59.97. RTP 1528, 2 5-gallon buckets of Ecolab ear cleaner, $355. Total RTPs was $2,424.97.
I asked for reward workers.
Station line, knobs are half on. Typically, when it up, half of them don't work, and people open the breakfast. They've been complaining about it.
These are the smaller remote.
I want to give it
We have 8 doors.
you can take a remote and have.
You can program 2 for board, you can program 3 for board if you want to.
Any other questions? Then I will make a motion to pay RTP 1088, 1526, 1527, 1528 for a total of $2,424.97. Is there a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Wayne, do you have anything else for shoulders? No. Then we had a couple, I guess just one RTP from Tom in the workshop. RTP 1497 to United Radio. Oh, very interesting. That was what was.
Yeah, part of that is in the bills
In
to
that,
pay.
okay, yeah, all right, so.
So
Disregard
there's
it?
one in there for the screwdrivers for the aircraft.
Is that the one that didn't, okay. So there was a little mix-up with the new process and the RTPs were given to Megan, so we just got them tonight. So it'll be, we can bring it up at the workshop, and see what this is. Unless it's something that has to be,
No, I just,
okay.
Well, it's gotta be,
soon, because
We've
we
got to
gotta get
have
those
those
batteries
tools so
done.
we can do those checks, replacements.
Is that holding up is that holding up the deal?
Say again?
Are these screwdrivers that we're not
Yes.
getting, is that holding up the deal?
Yes, it is.
Then they need to get the PAC, this is the PAC thing, probably should act on it if it's sensible. It's holding up the air pack deal, right?
It's one of the things that we're going to do to prevent that problem happening again. Those tools are necessary for that. I think there's 3 of them pitched for the, for purchase. They're maybe 3 or 5. 2, they are expensive, but if you don't use that wrench to torque those caps, well, we could be right back to where we were in January, replacing battery modules left and right. And I don't want to go that way, please.
We can wait,
Another week gonna hurt you guys?
No,
In doing
if
it?
you're saying a week, we're starting in, these guys will.
2 weeks.
It's gonna be, I'm gonna tell you 3 weeks, because it's gonna, if you're getting, and I'll just say the snap-on ones, I got to order from the guy anyways, he's not something that he's gonna have on the truck, so that's gonna be 3 weeks out.
before we even order it.
2 weeks before you even order.
What is it, Wayne? What's it over?
well, I mean, basically you got the 3 quotes here, they range from $65 to $279 a piece. So, I mean, I can look through them, I mean, if that's what they want us to snap on ones, and it's $279 a piece.
How much the other one? $65, you said?
There's one for 65, there's one for 69, there's one for $100, about 96.78. And then there's the snap-ons for 279. So, I can look into it a little more, and bring it back to the workshop, you know, tell me what you want. I mean, unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to look through it because I just haven't got it.
Look at you.
Wayne, at the meeting, we can talk. We can help you through that. I know there's a lot of tools available out there, and we really need the Cadillac if a Chevy will do it. Maybe.
We just want to make sure,
So,
by not having the right tool, it costs us $5,000. So I want to do this right. Low bid is not always the best deal.
so let's do this. Because we are meeting next Tuesday for the budget, can you have that conversation, have everything together for next Tuesday? And then we can approve it in the budget if we leave.
With that.
Now it's security and computers. Jack?
Nope, all this stuff is ordered. Hopefully there won't be, he says that it'll be a minimal offline thing when he starts changing the units at station, Eagle Station 1, Eagle Station 2, and Lysander Station 1. He's hoping maybe an hour, hour and a half. So please let everybody know if I get a date and when he's going to do it, I'll let everybody know, but I don't have a date yet because the parts are here. He's gonna look at it when he's there changing that thing.
That was just a mess in that room, and that's as far as I got with it, just to get it out of the way. But it needs to be tightened up, but some of the lines are short, so I don't know if like the lines and things can be taken off the wall.
I asked about that before and somebody told me that you have to get Verizon to come take it off, and seeing you're not using Verizon, it could take them forever, so. I'll ask him, he may take it off for us, because as far as I know, there's no Verizon phone lines, right? Other than the wireless stuff we have. We don't have any landlines or anything. The only other thing, and I don't have it tonight, but keep it in mind, I will bring it to the budget. These tablets that we're doing the finger reading on, they weren't really the best thing for it, but now we're getting to using them. I have pricing and quotes from Alpine. They have developed this, it's a box, it's about this big, they've worked on it, they had it out before, and it's all one unit. I have all the pricing, and I'm gonna bring that to the workshop to have it put into the budget for next year, to replace all 5 of them, so. Other than that, Rick is still trying to sort out where all the computers are. He's got most of them done, but he can't find them in our records management. And the reason he can't find them is we've never put them in, so I don't know if he's got them in yet or not, but he was working on that. I know he's working on how many we have and come up with a recommendation on how many to get rid of, or how many not just to get rid of because get rid of them, but say we're not going to replace them or move some from one to the other. We haven't got that report done. And I don't think there's any problems security-wise.
Mr. Hopper, safety report?
Hi, couple things I'm going to read all of these through, there, if you have questions to ask. Couple ones I wanted to hit on is the air compressor cylinder bank. Right now we're at 50% capacity because we're not using the cylinders. Hydrostatic test. So there was an RTP generator for that. I haven't seen that here yet. I'm just curious what happened with that. We can talk later if need be, but the compressor will work at 50% capacity because all it's doing is taking air off the compressor side. It's not, we're not using the cascade system. There's the hydro cylinders. Our cylinders are at and around hydro. They've got to come out of the unit. If you want some more details later, I can get that to you. Batteries, the battery issue hopefully is dead, no pun intended. And again, the wrench is part of that program to make sure we don't have problems. And coming up in September,
I'll mention this a few more times as we go along, but we're having all our 5.5 SCBA cylinders hydro heat station. It's a new process for us. It has been once every 5 years, so it's not like every year we've got to tear things apart and build things back up. It'll be something that we've been in contact with the individual, and Madam looked at his business, so it's fine. It's quite a cash of customers, but it's good work for him. The last thing I'll just mention here is that the fit tester calibration's up in August. That's been, it should have been a line item or something in our SCBA budget right along because it's an annual deal. So I just want to keep that aware. I'm not sure what it cost this year. I believe last year was around $600, including shipping. We give it to Jerome, package it, ship it to the vendor, they get it back in case you order all that. Some years ago, say that.
Just so you know, that's a separate line item as part of the.
Part of the budget. Okay, thank you. Right. Other than that, no injuries or illnesses reported. We're doing good in that respect, so keep that moving. Be careful with heat stress out there. Temperatures are still going to start to peak up again. Stay there. We're the worst case guys. We're going to be all working with the heat around us. So just make sure you read up on heat stress. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm glad to help. Any questions for me? If not, any other report?
Thank you. Chief Burgess?
You got a comparison when I said all those vehicles that we looked at, or sale of them, yeah. The chiefs, all the chiefs, not, last night, the last, big discussion on those, two things, district-wide SOGs, which we kind of touched on in the executive session. Everybody was on board with having somebody come in, take our SOPs, policies and procedures, and make them more concise, district-wide form. So again, for this year, I will definitely budget it for next year. And also a lot of discussion on officially becoming the Northwest Fire District, which would be renumbering stations, apparatus, and all that. Everybody, Lysander is still Lysander, always the Northwest Fire District, and then other service, information, fire district, something that probably goes along with Rick's recommendation. Fit with that. I just want to be on record with you that that's our recommendation. The other thing being the chief's vehicle, I don't understand that. I don't know why we can't use the same bid.
I got it all, it's just gotta be printed. I was gonna touch on it tonight under new business. See if they wanna bring it and just put it out there. I had a meeting with Tom, who knows the chief's vehicle. I showed him that they are available. There's the one from, like the ones we got, and Ford has a new one. So there's different vendors out there that can bid on the same type unit that we have. The only thing that me and Tom discussed and we decided was a smarter thing to do is we separated out the lighting package from the truck. So the lighting package would be done no matter who you got the truck from, because the problem we did, the vendor that we got the truck from used the vendor in Buffalo to the lighting package, and that's too much. You can, when it comes to the warranty side of it, we can take it right to Davis and Ford. We take them over there. So, but we thought the lighting package should be separate, and we wanted it factory installed Bluetooth, so that if there was a problem with it, we could take it to Davis and Ford or local Chevy. The lighting is different, so we separated it out. I have it all ready to go. I can bring it to the workshop, and I can email it out to everybody, and just can look at it, and I can bring it to the workshop. I kind of put it on hold because I wasn't sure where we were going with it.
You know, hold up was we didn't think we were going to get that thing built.
Yeah. But we can get that type. Ford has come out with that new Blazer.
Really?
Yeah, they make that. not Ford,
I was
sorry.
gonna say, say
Sorry,
that again?
sorry.
Ford came out with a Blazer.
Yeah, no, so they came out with a Blazer again. So they may bid that, I don't know. But until we send it out, we don't know, we don't have the answer.
And the same with the first year.
And I'm not working on it.
And again, but the spec sheet didn't change any, so the same. No major changes to the thorough spec. Just like last night at the officers meeting, I was in, but look at the stuff in here that fits, that you don't like it. Give us some input on what you want to see different.
I thought that spec that we used was a bad spec.
It's an old spec.
I'm just asking.
No, it's an old
Because I
spec.
remember when we did it and we put it out there was a lot of conversation about the spec and the way
Well,
the equipment was. That's all I was asking.
the reason why, or not the reason, what it come out to was, we put out that minimum spec. In that minimum spec, how the vendors both exceeded the spec was because the stuff that we put in there didn't exist anymore.
That's not what they told me.
You might want to check into it before you send that
They
out.
told me that
Most of the vendors have told us, but if they take exception to it and put something different, maybe that's going to be for us to.
As long as they meet and exceed what's in the spec.
Okay. We have no resignations, no new members for either fire company. The only update that we have is Jaden and Nana from Junior Terrain. So we'll move on to old business. R6.
Hopper mentioned the hydro of the large SCBA tanks. You want me to write that up on, or give you an RTP number so that we can at least get that taken care of?
Yeah, there was two quotes received on that too, so.
Did the valves get replaced, repaired? Because there's a valve on here.
That'll be part of the package apparently when he quoted it.
They'll put the new valve in after.
So it's gonna be $917, does that sound right?
Hold off for now.
I want to make a comment about these type of things. Hydros and these necessary, that's part of our daily operation. There's got to be something, or we got to do something differently. When we discovered that they were out of hydro, it's easy to miss because it's a long-range deal. But it shouldn't have taken 3 weeks or 2 weeks, and we still don't have them done. I mean, one fire, and we're shipping our bottles everywhere to get them filled. So we got to make sure that there's a mechanism in place when something like this happens. Is this considered an emergency?
I think a lot of it was with the change order the last month or so.
No, I don't think you guys did wrong. I'm saying on our end, we shouldn't have had to, this is something that should have been dealt with immediately and not
I guess
2 weeks.
I'll give you my answer. We have a method to take care of it. It's in there. It's an emergency. You call the chief says, yeah, it's an emergency. You call a meeting, you meet here, you call the newspaper, you tell them you gotta have emergency meeting, you vote on it, it's done and it's set, and it's done that day.
We need to.
It is in effect. It is in effect. You just gotta use what you have. It's there.
Which that's what I thought, why this is taking 2 or 3 weeks. This is a huge deal.
I didn't know it was an emergency.
To me, it's an emergency.
Show me the section in the book, just so I get smart, where it talks about emergency, just so I get.
Can we get these things hydro, please? How do we do this right now? I want to do it tomorrow.
I have an RTP, I'll give it to you and you approve it.
Can we do that, please?
I would hold off on the valve if you want. Do the cylinders first.
Do the hydro on the cylinders?
Hydro cylinders, you got 2 bids there, different places. Do the hydros first.
RTP 1529, the hydro, the large SCBA bottles is $606. Drones.
You said you got 2 quotes on it?
Yes.
Who's the other Who can?
Home and Fletcher.
Right.
One of them had an issue with transport as far as adding the hours.
I get it.
The valving was the correct, what we believe it could be a problem, where we get air back feeding into the system and pop in the remote valve. So, that can wait, we get this other thing done. In my opinion.
All right, then
Sir?
I will make a motion to pay RTP 1329 to Jerome for $606 per hydrant.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, old business, R6 disposal update.
I contacted the auction, international auction, and they decided to go on vacation, and that's the reason why it's not up on the site yet. It was supposed to be up there yesterday, and I did not see it, so I called again this morning, and I haven't gotten an answer back, so, and I can't get on the site to see if it's up there yet. But you guys should get an email when it's on there, so I'll call them again in the morning. I don't know what the deal is. I mean, I sent all this information to them before the last meeting last month, so we had it over a month.
Well, I will tell you that Auctions International is huge, but then they have reps that handle each state, and our reps are out of, like, I think Rochester. So maybe when them reps go on vacation, nothing gets done, I don't know.
Could very well be.
I know they have reps all over that represent them to handle.
I mean, they notified me when I sent the email to them, I sent them all the pictures and information and description, and they said it was, that they'll get it taken care of. And usually it doesn't take them this long, usually it's within a week.
Lysander Station with privacy fence.
You're gonna have to table that. I haven't gotten that guy down here. I couldn't make arrangements to meet him. All I have is just a one set of quotes. So until I can get another set of quotes from somebody else.
And I'm just gonna go through some of this. The junior grant policy is gonna be tabled as well. And we already did the update on the Cody truck and the update on the E5VA, so we're good with those two. All right, so volunteer station 3 update. Had a chance to meet with Rich and Bill and Madeline today. And they went over with me the numbers that they came up with. So the top sheet basically just shows their estimate for Station 1 based on the same construction that it currently is. This is a very quick oversight. Roughly $695, 10% contingency built in, so about $675 total. Station 3 total is about $3.3 million. And then depending on construction management proposal, and then total station is about 4.4. So back into the ballpark of where we were at originally. They felt confident that this is something they could do. Breaking it down, Tony happened to come to the station and sat in for a few minutes with us. Kind of breaking it down dollar-wise, just to compare with what CS Arts was telling us. Their estimating came up with it like $550. We're back down to the $272, $275 range square foot. So there's a couple of different proposals. One is a very nice one page where they just said, look, under general requirements, this is the square footage, this is your cost, here's your site work, your concrete, your masonry, your metals, your woods, and just kind of just gave us a total of what each of those would be. Some of the biggest costs that they're seeing in the construction, the drawings are the mechanical, electrical systems, but they have some recommendations to give us. The things that we could maybe do a little differently if we opt to go with them for construction management. And then the third packet is the same information on the smaller one. It's just broken down so you can see like general requirements, what is included under general requirements if you want to delve into a little bit deeper. What did they include into site work? What did they include into? So it just breaks it down by category a little bit more effectively if you want to delve into deeper numbers. But the long and short of it is, they feel very confident that we can continue and build this station for within our budget.
There's a breakdown on the remodel.
What remodel?
It says here, Station 1 addition.
There wasn't, they didn't do a whole lot on Station 1.
Okay. They just came up with this number?
They were concentrating mostly on Station 3 because that's the paperwork that they had, like the drawings and stuff they had in Station 3. So Station 1, again, was square footage and the type of construction that it currently is. And knowing what, it's going to be just a large room, a kitchen, the bathroom, any kind of.
Yeah, okay.
But no, they did not have a breakdown like they did for Station 3.
You know what I got out of it today? I feel a whole lot better after meeting with them today. I think it's money well spent that we did, and I got a much clearer vision of everything. I'm really happy. I think we can start to move forward because we're within budget.
If you have any questions, if you want to talk to Rich, we can reach out to him, we can have him come back and meet with us. It's just a little bit easier for them to do it, to have a point person, just meet with a point person.
Getting information like this, that's fine with me.
But again, he said he would be willing to come
Unless
back.
you brought donuts or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
No?
Bring me donuts. Duration, they think the project will be completed in 10 months. They don't think it's going to require the length of time that the architect was thinking it was going to take to build it. Again, they have some different ideas for value add of things that we could do a little bit differently. They built in the 10% contingency, so we have a little bit of cushion with the numbers that they're giving us. Construction management, I kind of went through and explained the difference between construction management and GC. And again, they're more than willing to work with us on the construction management part of it because it is a specialized profession. We don't have to go out to bid for a construction manager. So if we end up ultimately, we can just do a resolution, a motion to hire them as the CM. They will help us with all of the bidding process. They will create the bids for us, help us sift through them at the end. We will be the owners, as the owners, and not having a GC, we will own the contracts directly with the individual, so the electrical person, the plumbing person, those would all be directly between us and them. But the construction management, they would have an on-site person to be back and forth between the two, to just manage everything on the day-to-day side of it.
So how do we move forward from this point?
So honestly, for us to move forward into like the bidding process and stuff like that, we would have to hire a construction management firm, whether it's VIP or whether we go to somebody else. I think that VIP has been very good to us these last few weeks in helping us out and kind of navigating all of this and making us understand it. Elizabeth has reached out to me a couple of times asking me to get together with them, but I was kind of holding her off until I had this meeting with Rich because I wanted to see what they came back with first and said before we met with Elizabeth again. I kind of said to Rich today, I kind of mentioned to him that I was hoping that the next time we met that he would be there with us. He was open to that. But honestly, they probably aren't going to go much further specifically unless we hire them as a CM.
I'd like to make a point. I felt I learned some stuff today. On a positive note, they said that CSR built a nice firehouse. They didn't, I mean, they built, you know, good materials. They looked, and that's the big plan that they looked at and said we can have this done for this money. So CSR in the end has done a good job with what they've given us. The question is where that money comes into play. I felt a lot better about things. And like I said, I stumbled across Becky's meeting, kind of took control of it. I didn't mean to do that on you, but you know, the way that I dummied it down was took the total square footage between the two projects, and CSR said it was going to cost $6.5 million, right? Took the same square footage, the VIP said we can manage that project and get it done for 4.5 million. That's easy for me. That part of it was easy for me. He referenced building materials. You know, we don't have the second-rate building materials in there. You know, it's not the Taj Mahal materials. It's not the bottom of the barrel. It's where we want to be. You know, so he referenced some of those things.
I think the biggest difference between, well, I don't know if it's the biggest, but CS Org is an architectural firm. They're not an estimating firm. They have an estimating firm that they consult with. So whether this estimating firm that's in Albany just doesn't know this area, doesn't know, I don't know that was one of the biggest differences that we couldn't. You know, when VIP went out and they were talking to the different, getting estimates and stuff, they were talking to local contractors here that would ultimately probably bid on these projects and saying, okay, what would you charge for this type of project? And that's where they were getting a lot of their estimating firms actually talking to local contractors. And I don't think that occurred with this other estimating company that was out in Albany. That's just my opinion. So yeah, so we either need to, I guess we need to make a decision. Do we want to hire VIP as a SAM and move forward, get the bidding done, get this going again?
I'd like to.
So would I.
I think it's very important. I mean, if he's saying 10 months, we're into June, we're talking, you know, right after the first of the year, being out of that station and saving, how much a year?
It's $1,500.
$1,800. So it's a lot of money.
Then I will make a proposal, or I will make a motion to hire VIP as our CM for this project going forward at an approximate price of $294,000. They did say that what we've already paid to date will go towards some of this $294 because they don't feel that they've done enough to warrant the $60,000 that we paid them originally. So they will take some of that and move that into this. Hey, whatever a little bit helps us.
Not for nothing, that money that we're talking comes out of the 4.5 that we,
Yes.
you know, it's not an additional on top.
Yeah, I would, that was one of the things I was.
It's coming out of the 4.5, that's built in there.
And that's built into this 4.4 number that's built into that, so. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Go ahead.
Okay. And then we do roll call. Yeah. Tony?
Yes.
Becky? Yes. Jack?
Yes.
Stacy?
Yes.
I will call Rich in the morning and let him know that. We'll work on taking the next steps. I will try to get together with Elizabeth and Rich and us to see if we can start moving forward.
Yeah, see what his thoughts are, to get everybody together so we're all know what's going on.
Deputy District Chief / Assistant Chief Policy. So, I wish he was here. Rick brought a possible change to the assistant and deputy, the deputy assistant chief, creating a specific policy for the number of chiefs, how the election will proceed. Earlier. There it is. some question at the workshop. One of the things is that we wanted to run it by the lawyer. I did send a copy of this to the lawyer. He did come back and he thought that it was well written. He thought it was good that we had defined zones. He thought it was good that we had very specific, that someone that lived in the zone would be the person running for that position, unless there wasn't anybody qualified. So, and I think I forwarded to everyone his reply, so you guys should all have that as well. Any other questions that came up from maybe Bill's email or anything that anybody's thought of since that?
My big question, I have a lot of them, so I mean, I'll give a couple of them. The voting thing, there's nothing in here, are you gonna go by each department's voting policy, or?
So we're gonna have to work on that. I was going back over, the voting for chiefs is designated by town law. So it's very specific when we can have the voting. And it gets into, and I wish I had printed it, I don't think I brought it with me. It gets into where it has to be the first Saturday after the second Tuesday, or it could be a first Thursday after Saturday. It gets into this really convoluted time frame of when you can do it. So we're gonna have to go back and review and come up with a way to make this work within the law of how we can do that. Part of the issue is going to be that the way the law is written, I believe both department meetings would be prior to the election. So we're gonna have to work that into how do we do this, whether, because we don't want, at least I don't particularly want someone who wants to run for assistant chief, run as the captain, get voted in, run for an assistant chief, get voted in, then there's a vacancy and then the department's gonna have to go back and re-vote. So we're gonna have to work on that a little bit to figure out how we can do this, and we're gonna have to get some of the buy-in from the departments where we might have to move things around a little bit to get it to work. At least just for the chiefs part of it. So yeah, so there's a little bit more. Ready to.
And the other thing I had was, when you read this, when I read it, and the zones are set up, if you don't, what about the people that live outside the Northwest Fire District?
They can't run. It's in town law, you have to live within the district.
No. Well, then why is,
So you have, I'm
I
pretty
don't
sure.
know. I live on the wrong side of double yellow.
I don't
I
believe
live
so.
in Plainville.
Yeah, well, all we've gotta do is just to confirm with town law, that's simple, that, we don't have to, just ask Bill Young. I believe Jack's right, I don't think you're at, I think there is a percentage or something, and I also believe, again, let's get it, instead of beating each other up over that piece, let's ask, I believe the man in charge, the person in charge, whether he's the DC or the chief, has to live, but I believe the assistants in whatever can be outside.
That has to be in your rules.
Yeah, you have to have a resolution.
I get that, but town law dictates that.
No.
The district office does, not for department office.
So you can ask Bill Young. how to
You can
do it.
ask Bill Young, but I'm,
That's all, that's just,
I don't believe.
we
chiefs
don't
have
need to
live
create-
in the district.
you know, we don't need to create issues that we don't have, you know what I mean?
If the district allows outside members into the district that don't live in the district, those members have the same rights as those members that live within the district. As far as I know.
I can tell you, I was having a discussion with the Mattydale commissioner last week, and their policy was you had to live within the district. However, they're running into something, and they just changed it where the guy does not have to, so I think he might be right. Now that I think about it, let's just get a confirmation from Bill, that's all.
10%
That's all.
members outside the district.
No, 35.
Yeah, it's high.
35%.
It's high.
35% of your
Yeah,
your members
high,
can
that I
live
know.
outside the district, but you can stipulate that your chief has to go within the district. installation. And
Is there anything else, Jack? Because I don't want to like
No.
keep picking this apart. I want to like get everything together once and let's go through it.
And that, and the voting thing and the membership, because on the second page, like I said, it says 1, 2, and 3 members, levels, 1, 2, and 3 members of each district department as eligible to vote. What do? Do I go by Lysander's rules, Jan, or Ballinsville stipulations?
I would say you go by the rules that are in the Northwest Fire District.
But they're not straight. I'm a level 4.
So you wouldn't be able to, I
Yeah,
don't know what your department, what Lysanders are, but level 4, I don't believe. Besides, department members, I don't know what Lysanders is.
Lysander is, again, because Ballinsville set up their levels one way and Lysander set up their levels another way. Hughes took level 4 and made them more like a social member. Right, am I correct?
Yeah, you
Lysander
are, yes.
does not. Their level 4s are members that come over and they fill out fire reports, they wash down the floor, they help with the wash the trucks.
But they're not on the fire ground.
They can be on the fire grounds if the chief calls and asks them. They can bring over coffee, they can bring over tools. One time I got called to drive to a scene with a truck and pick somebody up and bring them back to the station. For some reason, I don't remember, he got sick or, so I had to drive over there with a rescue and pick them up. So these are all things that, in my opinion, need to, before you go and put a policy into effect, we need to make sure that everybody's on the same page. I mean, I've got like 5 emails from Bill Young, 3 or 4 at least, that says whatever you do with the chief situation to avoid, in his words, a pissing contest, make sure you work it out with your fire departments and your e-boards so everybody is agreeable as to what's going on. So you're not going to get 100%, but at least everybody has input before it's done. Because I got stopped tonight and got told that this new zone thing is taking effect August 1st.
Again, we haven't done anything
Well, who-
other than have
Jeff,
a conversation.
I'll make a statement. Who's ever coming to you and telling you that stuff, you don't have accurate information. Stop listening.
It's right there.
It says it right on there,
Right,
effective
right.
August 1st.
It says right on the policy.
Because, Rick, just put an arbitrary number
I
on
was
it.
gonna say, this is,
It's an arbitrary date, there's nothing been voted on, there's nothing been,
How do we know that? No offense, I don't mean to be an asshole, but
no one
how do we know that? When you guys put a date on something, you tell
You
us
guys
it's
shouldn't even
effective.
have this. All this was given to was the 5 board members and I think Chief Perkins. That was it.
Well, I got it last night in the options meeting.
Well, I don't know who gave it to you and I don't know how they got it because that wasn't, it was given to the
Who gave
board
it to you?
at the workshop for a discussion. That was it.
District Chief.
I did, the opposite. I was not voting, to be sure.
it hasn't been voted on. We're just talking about it. We had to get some
Did you make
clarification.
it clear that this was nothing that had gone into effect?
Yeah.
All right, we will continue to look into those issues that Jack raised and we will move on.
If you have more issues, you need to give it back.
You have legitimate concerns. Your concerns are not on deaf ears.
But
But there's just concerns that we have to iron out to make it right.
But there's nothing that said that no one's going to talk to anybody. This is just a discussion that the commissioner started.
My
That's
concern
it.
is, we had no knowledge of this until last night. This,
And
and
we're
I
supposed to.
I
And you weren't
understand what you're
supposed to.
saying.
I'm not, we're done with this conversation. I'm not gonna sit here in a meeting and argue over it. If you wanna talk after, we'll talk after.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything for old business?
Yeah, record management. I met with the Lysander chief, 2 chiefs, and I met with the Lysander captain tonight. I gave them the code books, I gave them the new forms, they're gonna start using them. And as soon as somebody tells me when there's an officers meeting or when there's a chiefs meeting, I will bring them down and we'll get started using these new record management system that Megan has put a lot of time and effort in, and it's been sitting around since October. It's gotta get started, it's gotta be used, and we're gonna have to use it. So I sat down with them, they're gonna start using it. I've asked you a couple of times, and they've had
Chiefs
2
and Bones
officers.
and Lori been trained.
Pardon?
Chiefs and Bones and Lori been trained.
Why are the books still here then?
Because the officers have not been trained, the chiefs have. The book is in my office.
Can one of the chiefs train your officers? Can we get that done sooner than later?
So I did last night. Our meeting went till 11
I
o'clock.
understand.
I guess my question is that Megan worked on it, I'm working on it with her, we're supposed to be doing it, and we're not getting information back, and it's not being used. And why didn't you?
I've been working on it, Megan, for 6 months.
You've been working on it. That's
Yeah.
not what was put out there for, it was put out there for
I
everybody.
realize that it takes a little time to get everybody together. The chiefs were trained, so I'm gonna tell you, the officers were not.
Have they seen the new form?
Yes.
Not in the book, the other one.
Yeah, I believe it's.
I don't know what to tell you. August 1st, that's what's going into effect, and that, I don't know what to tell you is any different than that. All your forms and your stations are gonna change, because I'll drive around and take them out, throw the ones that are in there away and put the new ones in.
I gotta say something. You know, you presented this to me, this is what we're gonna do. I get it, maybe need it for information for work, but I also had a board, you know, they showed you 6 months ago. And that was it. I'm just concerned there's not enough information on that for the fire staff. Record keeping is one thing, fire information, I'm sure, looking over that board. It's gonna give us information.
Which one?
Like the one you just put out there with the record of the church.
I handed out, I didn't get no answers back, so I got just what you just said. Well, we already had one, and you didn't pay attention to it, so we're not gonna listen to yours, I guess. I don't know. I'm not gonna argue about the records management thing anymore, but right now, it's gonna be set up that the district employees are going to be taking care of the calendar, and they're going to be taking care of all the records management. We're not going to open up records management to 15 or 16 guys that are going to get outvoted. 10 of them are going to get voted out next month or next year. That's not how it's going to happen. This records management is already a disaster, and I've been working with Alpine for a year to try to straighten it out, because there's too much stuff that is not right.
As long as that. You're always saying you're restricted to how many people can get in the system.
We're not getting the information we need, Tom.
I'm not gonna believe it. I just, this is a place to discuss it.
All right, no, that's records management. Move on.
Any other old business? All right, so moving on to new business.
That's the SCBA master.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the SCBA master inventory. I know we had asked, I think 2 months ago, for Wayne and you're gonna be involved in Perkins and Hopper, you guys are gonna get
I
together.
owe Wayne some information, so I thought we were I see inventory, the balance of it.
Is it just possible we could just get the SCBA mask moved into stores? Or is that going to create that much of a hassle?
I'll speak for the fit testing portion of it. We have membership committee, we have to have at least a full array of the different sizes. That's how we fit test. Everybody's different. So I'm not sure again how many, there's probably about 6 different sizes you can fit with now. We have a portion of those up in the cabinetry, up in the locked up in the SCBA room for that purpose. And also they can be issued to people. What Wayne needs is the inventory number that comes off that mask. Right? So that's what I owe him. For part 1 would be that. I want to talk about how many masks we want to leave up there, because I don't want to go to stores or send in Copley or whoever else is doing it all in their stores to get a couple masks. Should have available. Large quantities get crapped up or damaged, it's something different. The onesies and twosies that we get every one, we should have some control. We're not talking about storing 50 or 60 of these things either, but that's not what it's there actually. Does that make sense?
And listen, I just want it straightened out so that,
Understood. This is part of your records management system
yeah,
input.
to get all that stuff in there. One of the things the insurance company asks is your estimated assets, and when we look in there, we can't show them much because there's information that's going in there. Wayne's gonna be taking care of all the inventory, and hopefully we're gonna get out some sheets to get all the trucks' inventory and get them in there. We know the equipment gets moved around and we understand that, but you gotta have a baseline someplace. And there's just a lot missing. Thank you.
So back to this, clarifying usage.
I did. How did we end up with a car 5?
But
We don't have a policy on a car 5.
you too.
Well, we didn't follow it.
I gave it to you probably a year ago.
We didn't follow it.
Why?
Because according to the district, we're supposed to be notified who the car 5s are in December after the elections.
How are you gonna do that? I gave you that. He was designated involved with the car 5.
Yeah, and I think at the time it was Rick Ravis and.
That was 2 years ago.
I'll look at it.
You know, there were specific, we said there had to be specific people. It wasn't captains, it was Rick and there was 2 other people, there's 3 people.
We only had 2 captains.
But it's gotta be done every year, just like we authorize the other chiefs, we have to authorize. It was specifically done that it would be given the names to us ahead of time, so we could approve the names. And then we would be told 48 hours in advance that a car 5 is gonna go into service.
Can I ask, Mark, isn't that an operational thing? If you've got a list of who possibly clarifies, why have I got to notify you 48 hours before who's going to be?
Don't you think it's fair that we should know?
Why?
Why should you have anything to do with us buying a truck? You just tell us what you need and we'll go spend what we want to spend. It's working it together. It's working together.
I don't understand it. I put the list in at the beginning of the year. Why do I have to tell you every time I fill that position? I might fill it tomorrow, and I might have to fill it for another 3 months. Why do I have to notify you 48 hours? Well, that should be an operational thing that I can.
We're not saying you don't control it. We're
You
just
are.
asking.
When I'm gonna notify you 48 hours in advance, you're controlling it, not me.
That's the same thing, Tom, as if we notify you if there's a meeting there's a budget meeting. We notify the public, we notify everybody. It's just a notification. I don't want, and it's back to the communication thing. It's just a matter of communicating. So when you know what's going on and you sit there and you hear the calls, I listen to the calls. I might not go to a lot of them, I don't go to any of them, in fact, but I listen to them.
Chief, I got a silly question. Maybe I'm missing this. You submit a list to us, and we're gonna basically say the captains get elected. The captains are gonna be your car 5 appointees, right? That's basically, for the most general, that's pretty much the norm, right? Okay. So with that being said, I've seen many I'm responding messages that said car 5 in service, this day, car 4 or car 65 is out of town. Just do me a favor. Just hit the commissioners next to the Ballsville side and the Lysander side. That's it. That's all we need. Just that one button. That's all you gotta do. Just make this a whole lot easier. And we won't have to have this discussion, right? Is that what we're looking for, Becky? Jack, is that what we're looking for?
Just looking for communication. First, if you look at our rules and regulations, there's nothing in there about a car 5 or how it looks. Now, whether he wrote, he's got one, I agree, I've seen it, but there's nothing in our rules and regulations. We didn't vote for it. What happens if that car 5 causes a problem? God forbid, I don't know him, and any chief could cause a problem too, I guess. But if something happens with that car 5, they're gonna come in and say, why was he in a chief's vehicle and who authorized it? Is it in your rules and regulations? No, it's not in our rules, but there's one floating around that.
It's an internal policy. It's like, okay, the next time we have a fire alarm, we'll call you before we send a truck out the door that we're on our way to call. I mean, that's how ridiculous this is.
Tom, do you have a dummy copy of the policy? I know, no, I don't mean today. Do you have, I know you wrote it because I've read it multiple times. You still have it?
Yes, I do.
Will you email that to all of us and we will put it on the agenda to put it in place? If we didn't do that, we've reviewed this multiple times.
I will do that in the third time.
Please do that. I've seen it, Rick's seen it, I don't know about Jack and Casey or you. I've seen it. Just get it to us, we'll get it in place, that way it's done correctly.
I have the one that was with it, that they took it with, and the district wrote one. And it's exactly what she said, and it never went anywhere.
So if we have it, let's get it in place, get it on the agenda.
Have you seen that one where it says that it'll be notified? It's in there, and it was put out there.
But if we
And
didn't
it sounds
do
like
that,
we failed.
that's what I'm getting at. If we didn't
We
do it,
failed, not him. He may have failed of not telling you that there was one there, but it sounds like the board failed by not putting it in place.
so let's get past this. Get the policy out, make sure we're following right, we'll do it together.
Chief's vehicle.
We already talked about that.
Truck and fire, is that the same?
Yep, that's so.
So I actually wanted to bring up removing a policy the district has. We have a policy for new member orientation that we implemented back in 2016. But to my knowledge, the procedure was never implemented, the program was never implemented. So at this point, I'd like to just remove it out of the policy so that way there's no confusion since we don't follow it, we don't have a program.
I think it's because our internal policy was better than the one we had. The one that exists was junior. I think we did so. Yes.
It was one that you wanted to create, but it just never got, it just didn't get done. So I just like to remove it out of the rules and regs. So if nobody has a problem with it, I'm gonna make a motion to remove policy 15 from the Northwest Fire District rules.
So that, excuse me, when we did that, you're talking regular numbers or?
It was an orientation for new members, regular new members.
There is one, but we've since kind of drifted from that down to the common license policy committees kind of created their own orientation policy, which kind of mirrors that, kind of, orientations being handled by college basis. You can think about that.
Well, this one that you were creating, you were gonna have like a whole section on the history and you were gonna do
Yeah,
different
we did that.
classes.
We did all that. We created that internal, one of the departments ran a short orientation, and we had one or two members, so we decided, town-wide basis, like a orientation basis.
So since we don't follow it, we don't use it, I just like to get rid of it, that's all.
Okay.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. This was something that I've just been thinking about to try to streamline this a little bit better. I have not yet reached out to the companies. I just wanted to get the board's thoughts on this. When we have requests to use the facilities, I think it's a little convoluted in that it goes to department secretaries, who then send it to Megan, to come to us for our approval, and then sometimes it gets back to the person that was approved, sometimes it doesn't get back to the person that was approved. So I just was thinking that we would just streamline it, and rather than going through department secretaries, just have everything come to Megan. Let her be the owner of the, is this room available, can we use it? Yep. And there's paperwork that should be done that isn't being done, and that way she can be in charge of paperwork, we know that the rental agreement's done. So before I bring it to the departments, I just wanted to know if there's thoughts for bringing it down.
I certainly think it gives them a little relief. I certainly would think it helps both departments. one less thing they have to do. We have somebody in staff that can answer during the day. I support it.
I agree, I think a lot of, that's like the calendar and stuff like that she's gonna know it and take care of it.
All right, so I'll reach out to the e-boards.
I think it's helpful.
Membership level changes, this was just based on the conversation partially from the district, proposed policy for the district chiefs. I think, Tom, you said that you had something created and you were going to send to us, and I didn't recall seeing that. Were you still going to? You did send it to us. Okay, you can do that, please. And in the January meeting, when we made the resolution to appoint our attorney, we only did it for 6 months based on the fact that we wanted to look into potentially looking at options for attorneys, as we know that Mr. Young is starting to, go part-time and get up towards retirement. So because we're hitting July 1st, and we don't have a attorney on, I'm going to do a new resolution, but if we are interested in looking at different attorneys, I would ask that someone take point on that and start that process now, so that come January, we know what we're doing. So Resolution 1923, appointment of 2019 attorney July through December. Be it resolved that William Young of the law firm of Young, Fenton, Kelsey, Brown, PC is hereby appointed attorney for the Northwest Fire District for the period of July 1st to December 31st, 2019. And then we would be roll call.
Tony? Becky?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Casey?
Yes.
I can.
Or you can pass it off to Rick.
No,
Or he's
yeah, Rick's not here, he's gonna get everything.
Any other new business? All right, station usage, Lysander Station 1, Saturday, August 10th for benefit, Sunday, August 11th for a party, Saturday, August 17th for a party, and Saturday, September 28th for pet burners. Any comments from the public? Any need for an executive session tonight? All right, then, next meeting, workshop is Tuesday, July 23rd. Monthly meeting is August 13th, and just to reiterate, next Tuesday starts the budget process here at Lysander Station 1 at 6:30. And with that, we will adjourn the meeting at 8:49.